Hi guys, welcome to Classic TV, Facts and Trivia. Appreciate you being here. Today we're doing one on Mr. Jim Backus, who played Mr. Howell and Mr. Magoo. You'd think that the late actor Jim Backus would have felt a bit elevated from ordinary folk when you consider that he spent a good portion of his life being referred to by fans and critics alike as Mr. Well, that's what you might think until you realize that it was at first as Mr. Magoo, the nearsighted cartoon character of the big screen and the small, and then as Mr. Howell, a.k.a. Thurston Howell III, the ever-popular classic TV show Gilligan's Island. Born James Gilmore Backus on February 25th, 1913 in Cleveland, Ohio. He was raised in Bratania, a wealthy village. Backus spent his teen years getting small roles in stock theater companies before attending the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, which he graduated from in 1933. 4 years later, he managed to score roles in Broadway productions of Hitch Your Wagon and Too Many Heroes. Fortunately, work was sparse, and he realized he'd have to expand his horizons beyond the stage. As he would recall, I started out to be a serious, legitimate actor, but in the end, to eat overcame my artistic urge. Along with countless other actors, I went to radio. The theater, of course, was unaware of my decision and struggled along without me. I became a member of a very strange fraternity that might be called Actors Anonymous. He appeared in some bourbon print ads in 1940. 2 years later, found himself hosting a local radio comedy series, The Jim Backus Show. That same year, he narrated the radio documentary, The Nation at War, and with the cancellation of his own show, ended up making appearances on numerous others. It was during this period where he found himself married twice, first to Betty Keene from 1939 to 1942, and then to Henrietta Henny Kay, a Broadway showgirl, in 1943, and the two of them remained together until his death. Between 1944 and 1949, he was a part of the Alan Young Show on radio. One of that show's writers was Sherwood Schwartz, who would go on to create Gilligan's Island and the Brady Bunch, and who created a character for Backus named Hubert Updike III, an early version of the Mr. Howell character. He would get another shot at his own show in 1947, but it didn't last long, though they didn't deter him from appearing on a variety of other series, including A Nice Living doing so. As he told the New York Daily News at the time, I did a guest spot with Bob Hope. We drove to Palm Springs through California sunshine. We had a wonderful dinner. After the show, we wandered leisurely around the town and visited a few casinos. For this, I got a fat check. He began auditioning in Hollywood, and between 1948 and 50, appeared in a number of films, usually playing the best friend or a cop in a gangster film. In between that period, though, he didn't realize that at the time his life was impacted by the fact that he voiced the cartoon character Quincy, a.k.a. Mr. Magoo, in the big screen animated short Ragtime Bear. What's interesting is that Bear was supposed to be the star, but somehow something about Mr. Magoo just popped with audiences. As a result, recounted MercuryBlogspot.com, UPA launched an entire series of Mr. Magoo shorts. Mr. Magoo proved extremely popular in the 50s and 60s. Two of the theatrical shorts won Oscars for shortest subject, cartoon. Mr. Magoo would appear in his own feature films and 3 TV series. For his part, Backus explained to the Times of San Mateo that on radio you had to have an alternate voice you could use should you be cast in 2 parts of the same show. My radio double was similar to the voice that became Mr. Magoo, he said. I added his laugh when I was entertaining friends at parties, then locked in the whole thing when they asked me to do the voice for Mr. Magoo. In the beginning, he was a dirty old man. Half the time, you couldn't understand what he was saying. He just used to mumble. Apparently, he was too successful in the role, as in an effort to keep costs down, the company behind the shorts, UPA, attempted to replace him. When my contract was up, he said, they tried other guys for the voice, but even if the others could match the voice, they couldn't match my ad-libs. When I do Magoo, I always say something under my breath. If they ever figure out what I was saying, I'd be in a jam. Making the shift to television from 52 to 55, he co-starred with actress Joan Davis in the sitcom I Married Joan, portrays Judge Bradley Stevens, married to the scatterbrain and Lucy Ricardo like Joan. During an interview with the Oakland Tribune, he pointed out that he credited his being cast to a suit. Some years ago, I was in a dog of a film where the studio outfitted me with a $150 suit. You know, the kind that makes you look like Wall Street banker. It was tailored for my exact measurements, so the studio let me have it for $25 after the picture was finished. So far, I've worn it on 22 different interviews and screen tests, and it always gets me those distinguished parts. In the book Joan Davis, American Queen of Film, Radio, and Television Comedy, author David C. Tucker expanded on Backus' frustration. I Married Joan gave Jim 3 years of steady work and made him better known to television audiences, but in some ways it was a frustrating experience. He wanted to be Joan Davis' full-fledged co-star in the series, but the scripts put the comic's emphasis on her. While shooting I Married Joan and appearing in a number of big screen features, including the James Dean classic Rebel Without a Cause, voicing Mr. Magoo for dozens of theatrical shorts, it was back to radio regularly from 57 to 58 with the new Jim Backus Show variety series. He said in 1957, I feel the only people with talent like Sid Caesar and Jackie Gleason have been taken off. Now you have the relaxed school exemplified by Perry Como, which says, look at me, I can do nothing. In Hollywood, I heard a man saying that television would be all musicals this season. Other shows were offered without there being a script written yet, all of which he turned down despite big names as co-stars being thrown his way. I would say, don't throw names at me. I've got to know more than that about somebody. I'll be spending more time with than my wife. I don't care if they dug up George S. Kaufman and Shakespeare. I still have to see a script. Apparently, they didn't hold true when it came to Gilligan's Island, created by Sherwood Schwartz, who he had, as noted, previously worked with. I got the call one afternoon when I was sitting around looking at my bank account. And when I asked for a script, he told me if I read it, I wouldn't want to do the part. He was right, but the description of the series sounded so ridiculous, I figured it couldn't miss. Seven-stranded castaway of Gilligan's Island originally aired on CBS between 1964 and 67, and has been in reruns ever since, forever locking Jim, along with Bob Denver, Alan Hale Jr., Natalie Schaefer, Tina Louise, Russell Johnson, and Don Wells in our collective classic TV memories. He did a lot of stuff. I mean, he did stuff beyond Gilligan's Island as well, but get into that another time. And it kind of upsets a person. I'm sure it upset him, but when you're under contract for something that you made very, very popular, and then they try to replace you with somebody cheaper, that's just greed, pure and simple greed. Anyway, all I got for you here, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's long. I'm sorry. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Please like this video. You guys have a great day. God bless you, and I'm praying for you.